Welcome back, everyone. The American Civil Liberties Union of Louisiana is calling on Lafayette Mayor President Josh Guillory to immediately end an executive order banning congregating or loitering downtown. Joining us now live is ACLU of Louisiana Executive Director Elena Odom. So thanks so much for joining us today, Elena.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I know your group sees the executive order as a way of possibly targeting racial justice protesters. Tell me about that.
We do, frankly. We realize that this order or this proclamation actually was issued several weeks ago, but the fact that it was renewed, we really see that there has been so much action with regard to the way activists have been on the ground, peacefully protesting and exercising their First Amendment rights to free speech and free assembly. And now that we see that there are no threats posed by the hurricane, at least not in Lafayette, we do recognize that many people were impacted by that, but that is not a threat to anyone in Lafayette at this time. And so to renew an order that would prevent congregating and loitering in the downtown area at this time really would just be targeted at people interested in exercising their First Amendment rights. And so that is what we find to be problematic and also unconstitutional.
I know this has been drawing a lot of questions here lately, and the administration says the order is meant to enforce social distancing outside downtown bars and restaurants. What would be your response to that?
Well, as I've seen, many of the protesters, if not all the protesters, are actually wearing PPE. And wearing PPE, obviously wearing a mask and trying to keep as far apart from others as possible, is the best way that we know to stop the spread of coronavirus. But I don't want viewers to be confused. If this were simply about social distancing, then there would be a mask requirement for the entire city. And unfortunately, we're not seeing those kinds of restrictions being enforced as rigorously as we think they should be. And so we've got to continue to focus on what this is about. We've heard the mayor talk about protesters as terrorists. We've heard some very, very problematic language coming out about the fact that protesters should not be exercising their constitutional right to protest. And so we really think this is about exactly what we say it's about, which is protecting people's right to peacefully assemble and peacefully protest the murder of Trayvon Keller.
All right. Thank you again so much for joining us today, Elena.
Thank you for having me.